What?
What?
What the hell is this?
Harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph.
Harumph!
You watch your ass.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Let the show begin.
Hey everybody, this is David Heretic coming at you with another edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. And tonight, okay, I'm gonna assume this is the conductor. I wish I had a note here of which orchestra this was, but at least I believe it's the conductor. So I guess we'll go with him. Sure, why not? Making his debut on the channel tonight. We have Henryk Górecki. Yes, indeed. How about that? Henryk Górecki making his debut on the channel. Before we go any further, for those of you who are feeling inclined to doing all of the clicks and the likes and the bibbity-bobbity bop, do me a favor, before you do all that stuff, please watch the whole video first, okay? Give me a chance to actually earn those clicks and likes. Now, after the video's done, if you still feel like doing all those clicks and likes, then by all means, feel free to click away. This comes as a request from Brent Winship, and Brent wanted to see me react to this. And okay, so I'm making some assumptions here because I don't have a whole lot of information here. Henryk Górecki, who I believe is the conductor, I don't know the orchestra's name, I don't know which orchestra this is, with a piece entitled Concerto for Harpsichord and String Orchestra, Opus 40. Now, have I heard this song before? I don't think so. I don't think I've ever heard it, and I don't think I've ever played it. Believe it or not, I used to be a tuba player, and I used to be a string bass player, both in, wind ensembles, orchestras, stuff like that. So, to the best of my knowledge, I've never played this, and I don't believe I've ever heard it because it's a concerto for harpsichord, and those are not easy to come by these days. You don't see those in concert very often, at least not in these times. So I don't think I've ever heard this. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Now, there's always a possibility that I may have heard this in passing and I just don't realize it. So as always, if I start listening to this and I suddenly go, you have got to be kidding me, this is that song, I'll let you know.
That's the truth.
You know me, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Okay, let's see. This was posted by Carpe D. Sure, why not? And the video has 111,000 views. It'll get you there. Other than that, there's really nothing else left to say. Link to the original video will be down below in the video description for your viewing pleasure at your leisure. Let's get started. What do you say? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because here we go. All right, here we go. Henryk Górecki, Concerto for Harpsichord and String Orchestra, Opus 40. Cool. Yeah! What is it with all the long videos today? My goodness, every video has been like over 8 minutes long. 9 minutes and 10 seconds. And I love it when people complain about my videos being long. Look, if you give me a long song, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the video is going to be under 5 minutes if the song is 9 minutes long? No, it's going to be a long video. Jeez. And yet people complain about long videos. I love it. It's such hypocrisy. It's so amazing. Anyway, all right, look, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know how I am about long songs. If the song is well written, well constructed, well arranged, I'm having fun with it, I'm engaged, it's keeping my attention, it has nothing to worry about. As a matter of fact, I'll usually bump it up a couple of extra tenths of a point just because it was able to do that. On the flip side, if it's not particularly well written, not particularly well orchestrated, not particularly well scored, not particularly well arranged, not technically all that well executed, if I'm bored, if it's not engaging, I'm going to absolutely rip it to shreds. I don't care who it is. I will absolutely tear it to shreds. And I've done it. I've absolutely done it in the past. So I don't know. Let's wait and see how this one goes. All right, let's do this.
All right, boy, let's do this.
Wait. Is there a turnaround? An extra beat. Yep, there's an extra. Is an extra eighth note in there every once in a while. It's 6/8, primarily 6/8, but there is the occasional measure where they add an extra eighth note and it becomes 7/8. Now, I know that part for a fact. The only thing I don't know is if there's a pattern. I haven't found a repeated pattern yet. But we still got another 7.5 minutes to go. I feel confident if there is a pattern, I will find it. I feel pretty confident in that. I love the accent on 1 from the orchestra. You'll hear that little itty bitty crescendo on the accent. Boom, boom. Whoa, you know, then it very quickly decrescendos. I like that accent work. It's very nice. It really helps emphasize where 1 is. The harpsichord playing. I have never played a harpsichord before. I know what a harpsichord is. It's a plucked instrument as opposed to a hammered instrument, which a piano is. A piano uses hammers to strike strings, where a harpsichord uses almost like little hooks to pluck strings. It's a completely different mechanism, which is why you get a completely different tone and sound out of the attack. It's a fascinating instrument. It really is. I've always been fascinated with harpsichords. I've had the opportunity to play in an orchestra with a harpsichord. I had the opportunity, but I never actually got to play one. But I know they're an instrument that is rooted in aristocracy. The upper class were really more, how should I say this? That they were able to acquire or at least have the opportunity to play harpsichords as opposed to the middle and lower class. So they're a sign of, I mean, when you hear the word harpsichord, you automatically, you're thinking Victorian age, and you wouldn't be wrong, but they're more than just Victorian. They're throughout history of being a symbol of wealth, a symbol of power, a symbol of status. So But I've always been fascinated with them because of their mechanism more than anything else. I understand completely, how it operates. I've always found it to be a very stark contrasting instrument to a piano. Because a lot of people, they think, well, that they're all the same. No, they're stringed instruments. Yeah, absolutely. But the approach is completely different. Anyway, let's get back into this. Let's see if I can find it. If there is a repeatable pattern, let's see if I can find it. Okay. 5. Oh, we switched. Beginning to wonder if we're in 6 or if we're in 3. I might be wrong about that 6/8. We might be in 3/8. Feeling that accent now on every one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. As opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm feeling it more on every 3 now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. We might be in 3/8. Maybe we are in 6. Oh. Ooh. One. triplets over the eighths. Oh, the 16ths over the eighths. The 16ths over the eighths. And people will often might get that confused with triplets. It's not triplets. It's 3/16ths. Diddle-it, 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 diddle-it. We hear the same thing in a lot of metal bands, a lot of metal music. Think about this. The strings are playing straight eighths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 while the harpsichord player is playing 3/8. Diddle-it, 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 diddle-it. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? That sounds like so many metal bands that we've heard, not just on the channel, but everywhere. Death Clock. Oh my God. Death Clock is one of the biggest examples of that. They have so many songs that follow that same format. What's that song? Mermaider. Mermaider does that. It's classic. So many roots in metal music spawn from where? Classical. You know, it's been proven time and time and time again. And I love it when naysayers go, no, it's not. No, it's not. Metal is its own thing. Metal was its own creation. It was given to us from upon high. And no, no, its roots are very firmly planted in classical music. And this is a great example. Just imagine for a second. Instead of strings, imagine the strings were drums. Imagine they were a drum set. And imagine this harpsichord was a guitar, a distorted, thick, crunchy, rhythmic guitar. Okay? Listen. Wow. Time flew. Okay. Principal. Okay. So, for those of you wondering why, out of all the string musicians, why did he get the handshakes? For those of you that don't know, in an orchestra, there's this gentleman here, the first chair, violin. He's known as the principal. If something ever were to happen to the conductor, and I've seen this happen, something were to happen to the conductor and he had to leave the podium in the middle of a song for whatever, whether it be, he passes out, has a heart, I've seen it happen, have a heart attack, the show must go on. It is the principal's responsibility to take over. He's the first chair. He is the man when it comes to the orchestra. He is the guy. The conductor's job is to lead the orchestra, yes, but he's based, okay, Captain Picard, William Riker, he's number one. So that's why he got the handshakes. Everybody always talks about in orchestras, they want to be the principal. That's him. Okay, so the guest performer shakes the principal's hand. Conductor will come over and shake the principal's hand after getting the whole orchestra to rise. There you go. And credit goes to the featured performer. That, in case anybody was wondering, why does that guy get handshakes? That's why. He's the principal. Oh, here comes the ladies with the flowers. Yes, gotta have that. The flowers for the guest performer, for the featured artist. Okay. I'm gonna save it all for the review. I'm not gonna tip my cap yet. Not gonna tip my hand yet. I know I'm a terrible poker player, but I'm trying to keep a poker face right now. Let me get my thoughts together. I'll see you in the review, and we'll talk about it. Well, there you go, folks. That was, well, I'm pretty sure that the conductor was Henryk Górecki with a piece called Concerto for Harpsichord and String Orchestra, Opus 40. This was a request from Brent Winship. Okay, I have no idea the name of the string orchestra. I have no idea. I have no idea who the guest musician was, the featured artist was playing the harpsichord. I have no idea. I have none of that information. All I have is a name here, and like I said, I'm assuming that is the name of the conductor. It's a shame. I wish I had more info. Harpsichord is not an instrument that you see very often, especially in today's age. It's just not an instrument you see. I've always had a lot of admiration for harpsichord players because I understand the mechanics of a piano and how that instrument works. You push down the key and the hammer lifts and strikes the string that's associated with that one particular hammer. And as long as you keep the key depressed, the hammer will come up. It strikes very quickly, so it's laying on the string. You push the key, bang! It hits the string vibrates, and the hammer lifts, and it will stay up as long as you keep the key depressed. The minute you let go of the key, it comes down and mutes the string, so resonance stops. I know how those mechanics work. I don't understand the mechanics of a harpsichord. I understand when you hit the key and the hook plucks the string. I understand that part. I don't understand. From what I've gathered, it's reversed. Like if you hit the key and you don't depress it, it continues to resonate. If you push down, it mutes it. It plucks and mutes immediately. That's how I understand it. I am probably wrong about that. I do not understand the mechanics of how a harpsichord works as far as functionality, other than it plucks the string. I know that part, but I don't understand how the difference in resonation or resonating versus deadening. I don't understand the mechanics there. It might be exactly like a piano. Maybe the longer you hold the key down, the longer it resonates. Maybe that's it. I don't know how that would work, without the hammer, but okay. I'm not sure. If anybody plays the harpsichord that in the fan base, let me know how the mechanics work. I've always been very genuinely curious as to how the mechanics work on a harpsichord. I've always liked the sound of a harpsichord. I've always thought it has a very unique sound, a very unique tone. But I never understood how it works, other than the plucking. Okay, so anyway, this was interesting. It was interesting. I have a score here, and I think the score might actually surprise some people. On a scale of 1 to 10, believe it or not, I'm going to give that an 8.7. Yep, 8.7. I feel good about that score. Let me tell you why.
Why?
Okay, first things first, an 8.7. What does that mean? Well, an 8.7 would translate to a great scale rating, because overall, I think this was a great job. It would also get 4 to 5 stars and an A letter grade. So there you go, an 8.7, great skill rating, 4 to 5 stars and an A letter grade. Now, how did I come up with that score? So glad you asked. Do you remember what I said before I pushed the play button about long videos? If a video is, if it's not well written, if a song is not well constructed, if it doesn't flow well and it doesn't sound good, it's not pleasing to the ear, if I'm bored, if I'm not engaged, I'm going to absolutely tear it to shreds, right? I did say that. But before I said that, I also did say that if it's well written, well constructed, well arranged, if it's pleasing to the ear, if it flows well, if I'm engaged, if I'm entertained, if I'm having a good time, and if time flies by, it has nothing to worry about. Yeah, this definitely fits the first part without question. It's if the time flew by. 9 minutes, huh? Over 9 minutes? Didn't feel like it. Felt like about 7. Honestly, it felt like 6.5 to 7 minutes. Time literally flew by on this. And it flew by quick. It was fun. This was a fun listen, man. I loved counting this. I loved feeling where it would change. Without even looking at the conductor, I could feel, thanks to the accents in, not in the harpsichord, but the accent work in the strings, I could hear when it would change from 6/8 to 4/4. That was fun. It was interesting. And it would do it smoothly, super smoothly. If you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it. I really wish I had the score in front of me. Or maybe not the score, but just give me the bass parts. Just give me the meter so I could read the music and see when we change. Oh, we're in 6/8, okay? And we're coming up to 4/4 right here. Okay, and we're going to do 4/4 for this number of measures, and then we're going to go the 3/8. Oh, 3/8, okay, cool. I wish I really had the music in front of me. I think I would have had a lot of fun listening to this performance and reading the score. I think I would have had a blast. The harpsichord playing was fun. Very eccentric with her finger movement, just very quick, very rapid, nonstop. When she would stop, you could see her take a breath. She was like, and then bam, right back into it again. Just those 8 notes, just non-stop 8s until she got to that section where she went to 16ths. Those 3 16ths against the 8th notes that were happening within the string section. And I made mention that is a very common riff, a very common rhythmic pattern that is found in a lot of metal music. Where the 8th notes will be played by the drummer, while those 3/16 will be played by the guitars. Usually guitars on their own. Sometimes bass jumps in there, but usually bass will hang back with the drummer and focus on the 8s for contrast. And people often wonder, gee, is that an original thing that metal bands do? No, it's not. It goes all the way back into classical music, as most metal music does. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't realize it. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you Exhibit A. And I really don't need any further exhibit other than that. I mean, it's a great example of what literally hundreds of other classical pieces have been, that demonstrate how hundreds of other classical pieces have been an influence on metal music. It is a stark fact. And a lot of people just either they see it and they refuse to admit it or acknowledge it, or they're incapable of seeing it. To those people, I'm sorry, but I feel bad for them, because they would probably appreciate metal even more if they could see the correlation between metal and classical. And they might even have an appreciation for classical music at that point. Gotta give a lot of credit to the string orchestra. Their 8th notes were so clean and non-stop. Always with the downbeat on the downstroke. That's what I was taught. Downbeat on the down, downbeat on the down, downbeat on the down. You never start up. You always start down. So that's what I was taught. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's what I was taught. So, Queenie, if you're watching this, let me know if that's accurate. And whenever you do sustains, you always start your sustain with the down, unless your sustain is going to lead to a down. So at which point you would go up. That's what I was taught. Again, Queenie, let me know. Let me know if I'm right about that. If I'm not, I need to correct myself. The conductor was a lot of fun to watch too. He was really getting into it. I love watching conductors who are like that. I love watching conductors who actually get into it and they start to kind of move around it. There was a great conductor that I got the opportunity to play under a number of times. He was a director at CSUN. His name was Gary Pratt. And you talk about a guy who was a lot of fun to watch when he was conducting a band or an orchestra or even a jazz band. Whatever the case may be, this guy was a fireball. He would get up on the podium, but he wouldn't stay there for very long. He was notorious for jumping off the podium. And I don't mean just, hopping down. No, we're talking knees up to the chest, jump, and then land. And then he would walk around while conducting. And he always knew exactly where to go. When he knew the flutes were going to take over and take the lead, he would get right in the flutes' faces and just be right there in front of them. And then, here comes the trumpets. Hold on. He's going to literally jump over the flute section so you get to the trumpets. He'll be right in front of their faces. And he was just so much fun. So much fun to watch. And I had the pleasure of being under his conduction for a number of times. A lot of fun. And he would put on a great show too in front of the crowd. And people would often, and I actually asked him, and I know a lot of people asked him too, why do you do that? And his very simple answer was, he just wants to make sure that your eyes are on him. And he's not talking to the crowd, he's talking to the orchestra. He's talking to the band. He's talking to the symphonic orchestra. Because he wants to be sure that their eyes are on him so they don't get lost and distracted by other things that are happening. So it makes sense. He wants the eyes on him. And it's a brilliant way to do it, and an entertaining and fun way to do it too. I was watching, I believe the conductor is Henryk Górecki. He was really getting into it. You could see him, bouncing and, grooving to it as well. It was a lot of fun to watch. Now, overall, this was a great job. I mean, between the string orchestra, the harpsichord player, the demonstration of rhythmic patterns, the 3/16 against the 8s, super clean, nice piece, energetic, upbeat, bright piece that really chugged along to the point where the time just absolutely flew. So yeah, great job overall, and that's why I'm giving it the 8.7. I feel good about that score, and that's where we're gonna stay. So let's wrap everything up here in a nice shiny bow, shall we? We have an 8.7, which is a great scale rating, 4 to 5 stars, and an A letter grade. Take your pick, I don't care, whichever one of those floats your boat. Final word, final score, I have spoken. Well, that's gonna do it for this edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Hope I was able to entertain you. If I was able to put a smile on your face and brighten your day, then I did my job, and I'm so glad I could do it. If you guys feel like joining the fan base, go ahead and click on that button down there. If you guys want to like the video, go ahead and like the video. If you guys want to ring the bell, go ahead and ring the bell. It honestly doesn't make any difference at all to me, but if you guys feel like doing these things, well then by all means, feel free to do so. Well, that's going to do it for the night, folks. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, this is David Heretic signing off, reminding you to stay fabulous and support each other. Later. Peace.